Hey everybody, welcome to Taco Tuesday episode 6. Today we're doing tacos de papas. I'm using a Diana Kennedy recipe, who is an authority on Mexican cooking. I modified it a little bit by adding some chorizo, and then I also made a salsa of my own creation that is roasted corn. It's sweet on the front end and spicy on the back end, and it's a salsa that you definitely need to try. So let's hop back into the video and make these tacos.
So the sweet and spicy corn salsa is up first, and here's our ingredients. The first thing we need to do is chop up all of our vegetables. So I'm just gonna slice up all these tomatoes and halve them, and then put them on a baking sheet to broil in the oven. So something like that, and then I'm gonna move these to the broiler at 500 degrees. Meanwhile, we can cut the rest of our ingredients. So I'm doing corn. I like to just cut it this way. I find it's a little bit neater than doing the top-down method, but whichever method you like, go for it. And then I'm just gonna move this over to a bowl, and for the corn, the onion, and the jalapenos, we're really gonna be blistering these up in a ripping hot cast iron to get some of that nice roasty, charred bits into our salsa. So we're gonna bring a cast iron over medium-high heat, and I would recommend to use cast iron, and toss in our vegetables one by one. So we're just toasting up this corn until we're starting to get brown bits on the outside, something like that. And then next we're gonna come in with our whole jalapenos, and you're just gonna need to let these go a little bit until they start to blister and brown on the outside. This will probably take between 7 to 9 minutes. And don't pull these off until they're really brown and pretty blistered, basically all over the pepper. For the onion, I'm gonna toss in just a little teaspoon of oil, and then we're just gonna saute this for maybe about 1 to 2 minutes until the edges are getting browned a little bit. Something like that looks good. And these are what the tomatoes look like probably about after 10 minutes, and you can just peel off the outer skin if you want. You could leave it in if you wanted to, but I decided to take mine off, and then we've got this nice tomato flesh that's gonna be the base for our salsa. So it's time to blend everything up, and I'm just gonna add everything in one by one, and then we'll just blend it together. And then I do like to thin this out with just a little bit of water. You can add this before or after, depending on what you think is right. And then this consistency looked good to me, so I poured it into a bowl. So as always, and I'm sure you guys are tired of me saying it, but apply our salt now and adjust to taste. And this salsa is a real winner. It's spicy, sweet, kind of like roasty and smoky, and just a lot of really complex flavors for, 4 or 5 ingredients. Now that's out of the way, it's time to make our chorizo potato filling, and here it's only another 4 ingredients. So for things up, we're just gonna chop all these potatoes, and I like to do kind of a smaller dice, something like this. And really any waxy potato will work. I just pulled out these multicolored ones because I thought they looked cool, but you could use red or Yukon gold or something like a fingerling potato. So now we're just gonna pour water into a pan and bring this to a boil over medium-high heat. And then we're gonna heavily salt this water before putting the potatoes in, using a lot of the tips and techniques from my salting pasta water video. Then we're just gonna toss in our potatoes, and we're gonna let these boil for probably around 6 to 7 minutes. I'm gonna move them to a back burner and let them finish there so we can start our chorizo in the meantime. And if you are buying chorizo, make sure it's fresh sausage chorizo. There is a cured version, so make sure you do not get that. And then we're just gonna break this up, and I like to make it pretty fine and get those pieces nice and separate from each other. I don't want big chunks in there. And then once everything's kind of separated up, you can just come in with your onion, and we're just gonna cook this down for another couple minutes. And then our potatoes should be done at about the same time, and we can toss them in. You want these to be tender and fork tender when you toss them in. And then we're just gonna toss and saute this around for probably another 5 minutes on that medium-high heat. And you may just wanna kind of mash in the potatoes a little bit. You kind of want this almost like a hash, like a corned beef hash style filling, so it kind of sticks together. Not that everything shouldn't be loose and falling apart. It should kind of be semi-cohesive. Now you can turn off the heat and we're gonna add in queso fresco, which is just a nice Mexican crumbling cheese, and it's gonna give it a little bit of extra creaminess and saltiness to our filling. And you don't really need to apply extra salt to this because there's plenty of salt in the chorizo and there's plenty of salt in the queso fresco. But if you do need some, you can add it in if you would like. Now to prepare these, you could definitely just eat them in steamed tortillas, but frying them on the outside to get them crisp is the way to go. So just toss in a little bit of oil into a pan, and you want it to completely cover the bottom layer. You don't want enough to deep fry it, but you want enough where it's going to completely fry on the edges. And we're really trying to get the outer edges crisp, but not fry like the inside or anything. Like the oil shouldn't be going into the tortilla, it should just be sticking on the outside. And then after a couple minutes, just flip these. You really just want to flip them until it's just barely crispy on the outside. They don't need that long. So you can just fry all these up and have them draining on a wire rack like I have, or you can put them on a paper towel if you want to get rid of some of that excess oil. But now we are ready to serve and move to the taste test.
I absolutely cannot wait to devour these. And so I was reading in the book where I got the recipe from Diana Kennedy, minus the chorizo part. But these should really be crispy on the outside, but then soft in the middle. Like they should still be kind of malleable a little bit. These are not supposed to mimic what like an American style hard shell taco is. This is what is done in Mexico. And I'm telling you guys, I said last week was the best taco, but this might be the best salsa that I've ever made. The corn, you get this sweetness right away. And then on the back end comes in with that spicy from the jalapenos and all those roasted components. Very complex flavor-wise, but super simple ingredients. Seriously, this is probably my best salsa that I've made to date. And I had my brother Gabe test it, and he said it may have been his best salsa that he's ever tasted in his whole life. So, but let's try this. I'm gonna just put some of this salsa into our taco de papas. I'm also gonna toss in a little bit of shredded lettuce. You know, we gotta get some greens in there. But let's give this thing a taste test. Wow, that is a good bite. And I think we nailed the crunchy component. So if you guys see, you can bite right through that, and it's not like crackling and crumbling apart like a hard shell taco would. It's just staying in one piece, but we're getting that extra texture that really adds to the, you know, overall flavor of this taco. That is a really, really good taco. And this too would be great for maybe like a breakfast taco. You could mix this with maybe some scrambled eggs, get a little extra protein in there. This is the first time I've ever made tacos de papas. I was just kind of looking through some recipes and wanted to find something, and I was like, you know what, let's just go for this one. And then I was also looking up a different tacos de papa recipe and saw the chorizo. And I was like, hey, let's add that chorizo in there too, because that sounds good. Chorizo is one of my favorite sausages. But man, this is a really, really good taco. I'm gonna go out and make this one if I were you guys, but that is gonna wrap it up for the video. Definitely drop me a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. And also tag me in an Instagram post if you ever make any of these dishes. Would love to see them and see how they turn out. Having a lot of fun with this series, but that is it for Taco Tuesday, week 6. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Peace.